We did the Mishnah yesterday. We started the Bais. We're on Daf Chaf Aleph. And let me just go over the Mishnah. The Mishnah gave three categories. We said Dam Shchita, Dam Nechira, Dam Ikar. All of those is Chayav Kares.
Mistake walking in fish.
We said Dam Tchol, Dam Alev. I'm sorry, there's only two categories. The Bais added in another category.
Can I eat this? Is this part of the seed?
The next one was what they call, I guess, Dam Ivarim. That's the blood that's in the limbs. So that we said there's only Malchus. In the Bais, we started discussing what about Dam Halchishtayim? What about the blood that's from eggs? No, blood from grasshoppers. What about the blood from fish? So we said we compared it to based on the pasuk. We compared it to a bird and to an animal. So what happened is the pasuk says, "Kol dam leiseichlo b'chol meshveiseichem." That means all blood you shall not eat in all your dwelling places. La'ifla behema, for the bird and for the animal. That's the first pasuk. Second pasuk says, "Kol nefesh asher teichlu kol dam." Any person that eats blood, v'nechrasa nefesh me'ameh will get karas. So we're saying b'chol meshveiseichem la'ifla behema, for the bird and to the animal. So we compare anything that's similar to a bird and to an animal. Those are seemingly extra words, but those, check if they're down there. So those will exclude Adam. That's where we started with. And it will also exclude shratzim, also exclude eggs, and also exclude fish.
Does this mean that the Easter of Dam, say Dam for a person, is Derabanan?
Yeah, maybe not even.
What the what is that?
Yeah, the Isser Dam, the prohibition to eat blood, human blood. It's definitely not biblical. So,
Because you can't be a kosher vampire.
So how did we get this? So we did this comparison like this. We said, look, a bird and an animal, they have a light tama and a severe tama. The light tama is that they can become...
Don't tell that to the goyim who would claim blood libel, because that was our defense.
Oh.
Which we never did anything, but they
Isn't that
claimed
interesting?
That what?
the blood libels to when they said Jews stole goyish children to keep their blood. They said, well, you're crazy, we're not allowed that blood. And of course, Jews never stole the children, but now I find out...
Oh, we're not supposed to do that?
Stop being an idiot and just listen to the question. For 1 second, it's possible. Please.
Well, listen.
There was a movie, The Blood of Life.
I mean, it was
Oh, really? Of a blood libel?
Yeah.
It was true history. I mean,
Right.
How many
Fixer.
Jews were killed?
Fixer, that was what it's called?
No
Bernard Melamud. It's a book.
There's still people claiming it. There's still people who believe
That's
it.
what I'm saying, but I never even knew that.
So we did this-
Halachically, it wasn't biblical.
We did this comparison like this. Animals, both animals and birds, they have a light tama and a severe tama. The light tama is if they come in contact with something that's tame, it's because they're considered food. So food can contract tama. And they also have a severe tama because they can get tamas nevela. Now a human, what we were saying is, doesn't have a light tama.
Is that Dam
Because a human-
Tamsis? Is human?
No, Dam Tamsis is the blood that flows out after the death. Dam Halchishtayim is human. That's in the Brisa. So what we said was that they don't have a light tama because human flesh is not food. So it only has a severe tama. We said Dam Shratzim has no severe tama.
I'm still ahead. If it has a tumor, it's also. So, you know how to come
Why is
down
it not a severe tama? Sheretz is matama, but it's not matama. A person to be matama is clothes, Rashi says. Eggs are not considered flesh, and dam dagim, dam chagavim is entirely heter. We're going to see what that means later. I'm just going to explain that they don't need shchita. Okay, we're starting on third line from the top. Leifala behema. When I ask, why do you need both of those terms? because everything that you just said you could have gotten from one of them. Oif has tumakala and tumachamura, and what else was there? It has isser and it has heter and etc. The Gemara says, "Ima oif shein bakalayim." If it would only say oif, I would have said a bird doesn't have kalayim. The Gemara is going to discuss what type of kalayim are we talking about. Crossbreeding. What are we talking about here? The Gemara is going to say that we're talking about shatnez from the feathers. So af behema shein bakalayim. So I would say that animals that don't have kalayim, you're allowed to drink their blood. No, I'm saying only animals that don't have kalayim, you're allowed to drink their blood. What would that be? Which animals don't have kalayim? And that would be a goat, because goat here is not shatnez. And I would think from a cow is also not shatnez. The only thing that would be
sheep.
It would just be sheep, right? But a sheep would be mutter. So Talmudim v'la behema. So I need the extra word behema to tell me that animals, the blood is aser. Okay. Ima behema. If it would only say behema, she'ena behema labanim, I would say. If it would only say animals, I would say 1 second. Animals don't have. You're not allowed to take the mother off the children, off the eggs. That you don't have that doesn't apply. So afaif she'ena behema labanim, I would say that a bird is the blood should be mutter. Talmud my life la behema. So the pasuk needs to tell me both. Ve'ema kol dam klal oifa behema prat. This is going to be a problem. Why are you learning it as extra words? Maybe you should learn it as a klal prat. And the way a klal prat works is klal prat ein bechlal alamasha befrat. The only thing that's in the klal is what's in the details. What are the details? A bird and an animal. So you can't have blood from birds and blood from animals, but you're allowed to have blood from wild animals.
Fish is a separate thing.
It would still leave fish out, but so far we're trying to figure out birds, animals, and wild animals like deer, that type of thing. How do we know that it's aser? So masha befrat oif ubehema in midiachrin eloi. So the Gemara answers nefesh ashetechel kol dam chazer uklal. If you go to the next pasuk, it says that you're not allowed to eat blood. Anyone that eats blood gets karas. So it says again, don't eat blood. So that's a general rule. It doesn't say which blood. So that's a generalization. The specifics, back to the generalization. So now it turns to klal, uprat, uklal.
Such an odd way to refer to humans. Mahal cheshtayim. You say adam, bnei adam, or something. Mahal cheshtayim. It's a very odd way to refer to people.
Right, that's how
Welcome back.
anthropologists refer to people.
Okay.
No, that's really a good question. There's so many different ways that one can define the characteristics of these things. And to choose kalayim and seems like, as I reviewed this, I thought that's a little arbitrary.
I mean, mahal cheshtayim aspect. Oh, these characteristics.
Why these?
It's like reaching far out to some obscure explanation of what it is.
The problem is, once you say something's a klal, a product klal, now you have to define terms.
Right.
You have to define the characteristics. And
That's bnei adam.
Odd. It's not odd. But why not?
There's also the, when you're doing comparisons, so you have a lot of variables that need to be. The Gemara is telling us that you just stop to compare everything together and not to look at that 1 second. There's details here that don't match perfectly, and it could be those are the details. Like in the scientific, you have to have a controlled comparison, or else we don't know what it is.
4 is not Mahal Cheshtayim. I mean, the Gemara is probably going to get into that also. I don't know, but it's a very odd.
Oh, term. You're asking on that term, okay?
No, I think it's just an odd term. It's an odd term to define a human.
I don't have an answer. The Gemara asks, "V'leidami klala basra leklala kama." You have a problem here, because we're making a klala prat a klal, and the way a klala prat works means that ein bechlal ala masha befrat. All you have is the details. The way klala prat the klal works is that all you have is what's similar to the details, which is more inclusive. So The problem is that this second klal is not similar to the first klal. Klal akama is lav, klal basar is karis. First klal says don't. Loiseichlo. Second one says nefesh asher toichal kol dam v'nichrasa. It's karis. It's not a similar klal. So the Gemara says, Hi Tana debei Rabbi Yishmael. This is the Tana debei Rabbi Yishmael that klali uprati darshinan min hadein gavna. That he does klal uprati klal in such a way. V'afal gav le'dami klal basar l'klal akama. Isn't that interesting? Rabbi Yishmael, who limits his drushes, but he's also not as restrictive to his drushes. Rabbi Yishmael that holds dibiteri klashim minei adam, that says let's not darshan everything over here because there's a lot of things that are just common usage. He also says that you can make a klal prat the klal even if it's not perfect. The klal and the prat don't match perfectly. Okay, so he's more loose with the drushes. Amar Mar. This is a very interesting Amar Mar because the original brisa did not tell us that oif in behema is a klal prat the klal. It told us that it's extra words. Then we said maybe it's a klal prat. We said no, it's a klal prat the klal. So Amar Mar is already accepting the klal prat the klal, and it's taking back that whole discussion of oif and behema, what are their uniqueness, is now put back into the klal prat the klal. It's in the similarities, and it's going to include everything. You'll see when we read it. Amar Mar, klal prat the klal, I atadan elakena prat. You can only include things that are similar to the details. Ma prat mefurish davar sheish beituma kala v'tuma chamura. Just like the details of oif and behema include something that has a light tuma and a more serious tuma. Light tuma means a tuma of food. More serious tuma is like tumas nevela. V'yesh ba'isr, it's supposed to say v'yesh ba'heter. It could be asr, it could be mutter. That means if it's shechted or it's not shechted. V'yesh ben min basar, and it's also a type of flesh, meat and fowl. Af kol davar sheyesh b'tuma kala v'tuma chamura v'chulu. Also anything else that's similar to this. When the Gemara says af kol diktani la asuye mai, what are you coming to include? Now, I would say right away that I'm coming to include chaya, wild animals. You see, behema is domesticated animals. The only problem is that we have other sources that whenever it says behema, we know chaya automatically. Chaya b'chlal behema. So other Gemaras that say that. So what are we coming to include? Amar Avada Baravin. Avada Baravin says, it's Ravidi Baravin actually, according to the Shita. La suye dami shel koi. The blood of a koi, of a buffalo, or something similar to that. So, my kasavar, why do you have to do that? Ikasavar koi sveiko, if you say that a koi is a Suffolk domesticated animal, Suffolk wild animal. It's just kral meser sveika. Do I need a pasuk to prohibit a doubt? Now, normally, it's just kral meser sveika means just because you don't know, the pasuk, you're making it look like God doesn't know and God has to write other words to make for that. You don't know, so be strict. But that's not what it means here.
How would they know koi? Isn't koi like an American wild beast? It's not something that commonly found in European continents or
I think
something.
they're extinct. European buffaloes.
They are?
Extinct.
Oh, okay. I know there's African buffaloes.
In America also there were 4 species of buffalo and 3 are extinct. We only have 1 left.
Gotcha.
They're an easy target.
They are. Because when one is shot, none of the rest get the idea. Usually you shoot one in a herd, everyone else runs away. Buffalo don't do that. They just stand there.
Wow.
What it means to move 3,000 pounds of meat?
So,
By the way, I heard in the share the most dangerous animal, period. I mean, we think of
Buffalo.
hippopotamus as the most dangerous, but buffalo, according to Rabbi Stefanski, has a poker face, so you never know when it's going to charge. And that's why they're
isn't
more
that interesting?
dangerous. The other
Isn't that
ones you can
interesting?
tell, oh, get out of here.
You know what animal causes more damage than any other in zoos?
Human beings.
Zebra.
Which one?
Zebra. No, because people look at it and say, oh, it's like a horse. But it's not. They can't be domesticated.
So why does it cause more damage?
Yes, they bite people.
Okay.
People look at the buffalo and they think it's a koi. All right. Okay. So
I always thought the
Why is
zebra was a white horse putting on
Koi
tefillin.
different than other behemoths in the Gemara? Because it's a behemoth.
it's a
like any
suffix.
behemoth.
No, it's a suffix. If
It's
it's
a
a
suffix
chaya.
behemoth.
Yeah. So the Gemara asks, 1 second. If it's a behema, then the blood's usher. If it's a chaya, so the blood's usher. So why do you need a pasuk to tell me? Mimanav shachitz usher. Ela kasavar koi beri b'fnei atzmo. Must be that it's its own category. It's not an animal. What do they call when they categorize different types of life?
Genus?
Yeah, it's its own genus.
Species.
Its own genus. It's not a domesticated. It's not wild. It's
Is the einish for dam kal for
Kai.
tumakal or kasha is it different?
Yeah.
So then it would make a difference for us to define it.
No, so
Otherwise
but we're
it
not.
would make a
We're saying, what are we trying to include? Because this has tumakal and tumachamur. What are we trying to include? So we're including a kai that has that as well, and the blood of it is going to be aser. Ashkan damai. Okay, so we know that the blood is aser, but chelbai minayin. How do you know that it's chelav is aser? Now this is interesting, because if it's a chaya, it's chelav shouldn't be aser. It says mikol chelav.
Thank you.
Isn't that amazing? If it's a suffix, then I don't need a pasuk to tell
I
me
just did it.
that its chaylev is aser. If a koy is a suffix, then if it's an animal, then I can eat the chaylev. If it's then the chaylev is aser. If it's a chaya, then I can eat the chaylev. So I'm going to have to be strict because I'm not going to eat chaylev of something that it's a regular suffix, but the Torah is not going to tell me anything. But if it's a beri b'fnei atzma, so what is it? I know chaylev is aser of a domesticated animal.
So it's
Chaylev is mutter of a chaya.
if it's a different thing.
So therefore, I need a pasuk. It's something totally different. So the pasuk says chaylev of a koy is aser, only according to that opinion. So I'm saying in
you need
Tosfos.
specific learning to tell us that the chaylev is
Chaylev is aser. Nivlasa minala, and how do you know that it's nevela is aser or gives off tuma? Mikol nevela. It says mikol, all nevela. Gida nasha minala, how do you know that it has gida nasha? It says bekafa yerech kali rachmana v'yisli kafa yerech. It has the round thigh. Not like a
How you
bird.
define what it is?
Yeah, and not like a bird that has also a gida nasha, but it's not round. Tumasa yushchita minala, and how do you know that it gives off tuma and then you have to shecht it? The Gemara says svara. Midla kol midli Rabbi Rachmana kebehema tumasa yushchita nami kebehema. The svara is, since everything is similar to an animal, so it's tuma and shchita is also like an animal. Okay, Amar Mar, learned before. Oitzi dam mahal chishdayim. Don't get caught up in this. Okay, he excluded the blood from humans. That they have strict tumah, but they don't have light tumah. Light tumah means human flesh is not considered food. It doesn't have just food tumah. The Gemara says, Ramini, ask a contradiction. If someone cuts flesh off a human, so tzarech machshava, you have to think about using it for food. Now,
It tastes just like chicken.
Ve'ein tzricha, it says vehechshe. Vehechshe means it needs to get wet in order to be
what?
It needs to get wet to be susceptible to tumah. The only problem is Rabbi Gershon's gear says ve'ein tzricha hechshe, and we say that it doesn't need to get wet. Our gear in the Gemara is vehechshe, and very interesting if you look at Yud Gimel in the Shita Mekubetzes, he says in the Gemara of Rabbi Tzal Ashkenazi, he wrote ve'ein tzarech hechshe. However, on top of it there was a line that shows that it's supposed to be mistaken, you have to take it out. But he didn't take it out. And he had a vav, so it's supposed to be vehechshe. Anyway, I don't know which gear it is. Whatever. It either has to get wet or it doesn't have to get wet. Human flesh. Whatever the case is, v'kashalan. You have a question. Machshava lamali. Why do you need to think about it for food? He cut a piece off. Cut a piece off means that he's going to eat it. Not he is going to eat it. He was feeding it to his dog. And feeding it to a dog is not considered food unless he thinks about it for human consumption. When it says V'loi, that's not food. V'hatanan, we have a Mishnah. Klal Amar B'tuma, we have a rule. Kolam Yichud Lechal Adam, anything that's designated for food, human food, it's Tameh. It becomes Tameh, until it becomes so rotten that a dog won't eat it. So what are we saying? If a dog eats it, then it's considered food. Why are you saying that your thoughts of feeding it to a dog is not considered thoughts of food? If something becomes Tameh, it remains food until it's so spoiled that even a dog won't eat it. So it means eating of a dog is food.
Sounds like chametz.
Right, exactly. The Gemara says, "Ahula suki tumah minei." That's when you're trying to get rid of tumah. It's food, and it's spoiled. If a dog will still eat it, it's still considered food. Given the mikara adam, because originally it was fit for a human consumption, it remains food. La suki mituma, but to get rid of the tumah, it needs to become puzzle. It becomes to be unfit even for a dog. But to bring on the food, the impurity. So it's supposed to say Eily. It has to be fit for a human, not for
people. I mean, according to the Gemara, it's a normal thing to eat human flesh.
No, the Gemara is going to say no. But if someone specifically thinks about it as food, then it will get tumas eichlin. Why is that relevant? We have to say
or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But what you see from here on a different level is that chametz b'Pesach is mamish not just basra but a tumah to you can draw.
Let's get to Tishrei, Rabbi.
Because it's lower kelev, and wouldn't then it's not.
Yeah, that once it starts, it's harder to get it off than to make it in the first place. That's what we're learning.
But if it didn't, then it's
right.
tumah.
Well, it's not. It's a comparison to. We can compare it to tumah, but the same concept here.
That's on this world. In the heavenly realms, it's tumah.
So Mikol Makim, this was actually a long question. We didn't get to the question yet. The question is Mikol Makim Ktani Machshava. We taught in this brisa that you need to think about it, and Machshava l'tumakalahi. Thinking about it is only for light tumah. That means tumah for food. You said, the brisa said that humans don't have light tumah; they only have severe tumah, the tumah of a corpse. Here we're seeing that if you think about it, it has a tumah of food. That means we're back to the prohibition of blood. By Gemara says Hani mili mechayim. That's only if it's alive. But after death, it's only tumah chamura. After it dies, it's only tumah chamura. There's no such thing as food. So that's what we're referring to. So the Gemara says, 1 second. Talking about after death, the kavasei gabi mehema. Let's compare this back to the animal. If you're speaking only about after death, so la'achar misa, it's also la'achar misa, ibasar. If it's the flesh, metamet tumah chamura, then it's nevela. Be'idam metamet tumah chamura. What's he eating from the animal? Both. The flesh, whatever you're going to tell me, we tried to compare the animal to the human. And so the animal has both light tumah and severe tumah. The problem is we said that the human is talking about only after death, only after the body dies. So let's go back to the animal and say we're talking about the same thing. So, but what's he eating? Is he eating the meat or the blood? It says it doesn't matter because the Tanan dam nevelis beishamei matarin beisil matamin. We still say that it's tamei. Even the blood is tamei because of nevela. The Gemara says leinitzchal elakiditnan. It's necessary according to a Mishnah that says nevelas behema tmei b'chol makom. The nevela of an animal. The carcass of an animal is considered food in every area. That means people that want to eat will find a dead animal and they'll eat from it. Nevela seifatar, a non-kosher bird that's dead. B'kfarim, if it's in a village, there's not a lot of people there, so tzarech machshava. you have to think about it for food for it to be considered food. It's not automatically food. People won't eat it. But it doesn't need to get wet. Why doesn't it need to get wet? There's a rule that anything that could come to a tumah chamura doesn't need to be wet to be susceptible to tumah. Normally, if I have grain, let's say, in order for it to become tameh, first it needs to get wet. And I have to be happy that it's wet. That causes it to be susceptible. But things that could be more severely tameh, even though right now they're not, they don't need to get wet. They can get the tumah of food even without getting wet. So nevela seiftar, if you eat it in a certain way, if you eat it and you swallow a kazayas of a kosher dead bird, it gives off tumah when you're swallowing it, b'beis abliya, while you're swallowing it. So that's a more severe tumah because it makes the clothing tummy as well. So the bird itself doesn't need to get wet.
Does wet mean any of the 7 kinds of fluid, or just water?
The wet means the 7.
7 kinds of fluid.
Right.
Don't eat the meat. I know you're thinking about the beef.
One of which is
I'm a
dumb.
big beef eater.
Right.
Beef eater's good. I'm a big gym.
Where's
Go
the
out to
beef?
a restaurant, I choose chicken.
Where's the beef?
No, beef eater.
Nevelas behema Torah. Some Gemaras don't have this. This is in parentheses. If it's a kosher animal that died, b'chol makim, that's food automatically. People would eat it. Nevelas oif tahar v'chelev b'shvakim ein tzrich le'machshav le'hechsher. Okay.
Is this toast hatbasa or?
Svarim yishenim lessa. In some Gemaras it doesn't have it. V'amali Rav l'Rabchia. Rav asks Rabchia, his uncle, machshava lamali. Why do we need machshava over here? We're talking about a nevela. It says nevela seiftar or nevela l'tumakala. What do you need it for to turn it into food? He gufa tmehi. It's already tamei. It's a nevela. Amaleki going to kapachas mikazayas nevela. B'tirfa lapachas mikabeitzas eichlin. You don't have a kazayas to give off tumah of nevela. You don't have a kabeya to give off tumah seichlin, but you're combining it with other food. The high v'hai have a kabeya, because together it's going to give off that tumah. The hachi libayinami hechsher. If majority is something else, then it should need hechsher. So Tana de Rabbi Shmuel kol zer zerashi user mazram yuchadim shein seifel tam tumah chamor v'tzarech hechsher. Af kol shein seifel tam tumah chamor v'tzarech hechsher. Here you have this bit of meat combined with other foods. Those foods need hechsher. Amalei hani mile beichlan dalmad las b'pachas mikazayas nevela. Aval hacha dika bagavei pachas mikazayas nevela kivan dila mitzarv le kazayas le bay hechsher. If I would add more of this meat to it, it would be a kazayas, and a kazayas of nevela is enough. So therefore, it could become tumah chamura. So therefore, it doesn't need hechsher. Okay. Now, lafuke meis, this is excluding if it's a corpse that afal gav de mamalelai, even if you would complete the shear, it wouldn't complete the shear of food. Even if you combine it with other food, it won't complete. Why? Mishum the batla daite it's a koladam, because it won't be considered food unless there's specific machshava on it.
Is it because it's whole?
No, because people don't eat human flesh normally.
We said
That was if it was specific. But here you're just, if it's together with other food,
it's
it won't naturally.
whole.
Right. Here.
So butler diet it's all done. If it's too peculiar,
Right.
then we don't consider it a
real
standard.
thing. Right.
For halacha. And I don't know why they didn't say that before. On a piece of human flesh, same thing. Butler diet it's all done. Guys, cuckoo.
This whole Gemara was just to tell me that it doesn't have tumakala. Doesn't have tumakala because batla daite etzel kaladim, because people don't normally eat it. Rav Chananya Amar Afil Temadavi Kazayas. Chananya says we could say that this comparison is even if there is a Kazayas. And Hachamayas Kinan, what are we dealing with here? We're comparing a corpse, a kazayas of flesh of a corpse, to a kazayas of a nevela, of an animal. And it's covered, both of them are covered in dough. So,
Both of them covered in
dough. Like a bereka. So, sorry. Yachi, if that's the case, yachinamini boy, so why doesn't it have to get wet? You see what's happening here is that if it's covered in dough, in nevela, if you're not touching it, it's covered in dough.
translates.
So the Gemara says, yes, that would be an issue if it would be other foods that don't have tumas maga and tumas masa. Over here, granted, you're not touching it, because it's covered in dough, but it does have a more severe tumah, because if you carry it, what's the difference, tumas maga, tumas masa? Maga means you're touching it. Do you want it?
No.
It's zelig. Should I take it?
No.
Okay. So masa means that you don't have to touch it. Just lifting it up gives the tumah, even if it's like in a bag or something. So here, even though it's covered in dough, it's going to give off tumah. The ton, like, because he's carrying it. Alafuke meis, it's excluding the corpse. Dafagav the chifu bebatzik mitam tumah chamura. That a corpse will give off tumah chamura, the tumah bekas va'ila bekas v'yardas. So what about tumas nevela?